genetic engineering involves cutting of DNA and pasting of it to a vector to form recombinant DNA. Various tools are used in recombinant DNA technology like enzymes, vector DNA, desired DNA and host cells. In this topic, we are talking about enzymes that are used in recombinant DNA technology for genetic engineering experiments. So, various different kinds of enzymes are employed in genetic engineering. Those includes lysing enzymes, ligases, DNA polymerase, alkaline phosphatases, polynucleotide kinase and nucleases. So first in this is lysing enzymes. So what are lysing enzymes? Lysing enzymes are those which are used to open the cells to get the DNA, which is used for genetic experiments. Like we are using different types of lysing enzymes to extract the DNA or to reach the DNA in different cells. For examples, if I wanted to extract DNA from plant cell, so this is the plant cell which is made with cell wall. Inside this is the nucleus with the nuclear membrane. Then this is the DNA. So first the cell wall of the plant, this is cell wall. Cell wall of the plant has to be, dissolved. Then the cell membrane. After that, this is the nucleus, nuclear membrane, and after opening the cell, nuclear membrane, then we can reach to DNA. So for that, to extract this, our DNA, we have to extract, suppose if you are extracting from the plant cell, so what enzymes that are required? So the enzymes, lysing enzymes that are used for reaching the DNA in plant cell includes cellulase. Cell walls are made with cellulase, or in some cells, some plant cells, pectin walls. So we can use even pectinase. And to reach or to dissolve the cell membrane, lipoproteins, that is, it is lipase and protease. So lysing enzymes for plant cells are cellulase, pectinase, lipase, protease. If we are extracting DNA from a bacterial cell, for bacteria we use enzyme lysozyme for bacterial cells. If you are extracting the DNA from fungal cells, so we use enzyme which is chitinase. Their walls are made with an enzyme chitin, so chitinase for fungal cells. If we are extracting, or we have to remove the DNA, or we have to reach the DNA in case of animal cell, in animal cell walls or there is no cell wall, cell membrane is phospholipid layer. So for this we are using enzyme lipase and protease. So these are various lysing enzymes which we are using in different organism cell to reach the DNA. Next, second, we have ligase. So listen, ligases are those enzymes which catalyze the joining of DNA segment, to a vector DNA, right? Joining of DNA segments to vector DNA, we use enzyme ligases. Next, DNA polymerase. What is DNA polymerase? DNA polymerase enzyme which synthesizes nucleotides complementary to template strand. So that is DNA polymerase. So a best example for this is tag polymerase. It's an enzyme which is isolated from Thermus aquaticus, which is used in PCR. In polymerase chain reaction, we use DNA polymerase. Next, alkaline phosphatase. So these alkaline phosphatases are the enzymes which catalyze the removal of terminal phosphate so terminal phosphate from 5' end of vector DNA. So why? So okay, fine. So why do we remove this phosphate from the 5' end? This is because removal of phosphate from the 5' end prevent self annealing of vector DNA soon after cut by restriction enzymes. So here the thing is that just this is the vector DNA. So to add our gene of interest, the vector DNA will be cleaved by using restriction enzyme. By using restriction enzyme, when vector DNA is cleaved, this vector DNA is cleaved by producing 5' phosphate and 3' OH. So immediately after cleaving this by using the restriction enzyme, if as long as this 5' phosphate and 3' OH is present, so once again it will join. There is an annealing. But we want the vector DNA to open up to make it a straight, so that we can add our gene of interest. So at the 5' end, this is 3' end. So at the 5' end, by removal of phosphate from the 5' end, so there is no self annealing of this vector DNA occurs, so that we can join our desired gene or gene of interest at the 5' end. Polynucleotide kinase. So polynucleotide kinase add phosphate from ATP to the terminal 5' end after dephosphorylation by alkaline phosphatase. Okay, so after adding our gene of interest, so once again the phosphate is added, which is catalyzed by the polynucleotide kinase, and so that once again this vector DNA will be closed. So this is what is polynucleotide kinase. Next, so we have last, nucleases. Nucleases are the enzymes which are responsible for hydrolyzing the phosphodiester bond, in a DNA strand to produce 3' OH group and 5' phosphate group. So those are nucleases which break the phosphodiester bond, and they produce in the particular DNA strand, they can make 3' OH and 5' phosphate group, right? So these nucleases are of two types. They are exonuclease and endonucleases. Two types of nucleases, exonucleases and endonucleases. First, exonucleases. Exonucleases remove nucleotides from the ends of DNA strand. So they remove the nucleotides from the ends of the DNA strand. That means they can remove the nucleotides from 5' to 3' end or 3' to 5' end in a DNA. Either it could be a single strand or a double strand DNA. Double strand DNA. Right, to make it clear, so we have a DNA strand which is from 5' to 3'. This is from 3' to 5'. So imagine we have all the nucleotides, like these are all the nucleotides. All these nucleotides, like for example, this is adenine, this is thymine, this is adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. So here I have for adenine, this is thymine, this is adenine, this is thymine, this is like this. This is a strand of DNA. So exonuclease remove this adenine either from 5' to 3', or it can remove from here, or it can remove from here, the terminal ends. So if it is removed from there, so the strand, from this strand, right? So I can say that this is how this adenine is removed from 5' end, right? It removes the nucleotides from the terminal end. Fine. So this exonucleases remove the nucleotides from the terminal ends by hydrolyzing the phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond is digested, hydrolyzed, because this is one nucleotide and another nucleotide. Between the two nucleotides there is a ester bond, because on either side there is one ester bond, so we call it as phosphodiester bond. So they will hydrolyze the phosphodiester bond so that the nucleotide from the terminal ends are removed. So for that reason these are called exonucleases. Endonucleases or the second type of nucleases. In the year 1963, two enzymes which restricted the growth of bacteriophage in E. coli were isolated. Among these two enzymes, one of the enzyme added methyl group to the DNA, while the other cleaved the DNA. The latter was called as restriction enzyme. So this is what we are calling it as restriction endonuclease enzyme. So restriction endonucleases are isolated from prokaryotes because it is their natural defense mechanism against the bacteriophage infection. Okay, and so this phenomena could be divided into two components. One is restriction, second is modification. So what do you mean by restriction? Restriction is nothing but fragmentation, or I can say that it is cleaving, which involves the cleaving of the DNA, that is restriction. Modification is a change, which is nothing but methylation to prevent restriction, that is modification. So to make you people understand better, I'll just show you lytic cycle. This is the bacterial cell. Bacteria has its own genome. This is the genome of bacteria. So bacteria, with the help of its genome, it makes its proteins, everything, and it performs its normal activity. Now these bacterial cells are attacked by phages. This is a bacteriophage. Bacteriophage with its genome. Bacteriophage attacks the bacterial cells and introduce its DNA into the bacterial cell. So this DNA can attack the genome of the bacteria and allow this bacterial genome, infect this bacterial genome to produce these phage particles. That generally happens. But when this phage infects the bacteria, bacteria produces some specific sequences. Say, imagine this is the phage genome. This is a phage genome. So bacteria produces some specific enzymes which are called restriction enzymes. These restriction enzymes attack the phage genome and cleave the phage. The phage genome is fragmented. This is what you call restriction. Fine. But in this entire process there is a problem. The problem is that imagine this is all the bacterial genome. This is the bacterial genome. In the bacterial genome also there are some restriction sequences are present. These restriction sequences are present in the bacterial genome also. So what all this restriction enzyme that is produced by this bacteria to cleave this phage genome can also attack the bacterial genome and can cleave. So this becomes a suicidal approach. So as a result, to protect this, so this particular restriction site is methylated. So methyl group is added. When it is methylated on the bacterial genome, this restriction enzyme do not recognize the sequence on the bacterial cells and it won't cleave, and it will cleave only the phage genome. So this is a protective mechanism that is developed in the bacteria, in prokaryotes, against the bacteriophages. So this is what you call restriction and modification. So as I said, restriction enzymes are isolated from bacteria, I mean the prokaryotes like bacteria, and so far we have more than 900 different types of restriction enzymes which were isolated from nearly 230 strains of bacteria. 230 strains of bacteria. We have more than 900 restriction enzymes. Okay, fine. Now restriction enzymes, they will identify a specific nucleotide base sequence, specific nucleotide base sequence of 4 to 6 base pairs long. Every restriction enzyme has a specific sequence. It will identify that specific sequence and cleave the DNA. So with 4 to 6 base pairs long sequences. Now this sequence, what the enzyme identify is called restriction site. So for that reason, these enzymes are called restriction enzymes. Now, naming of restriction enzymes. Naming of restriction enzyme. I just give you one name of the enzyme. This is, we are calling it as EcoR1. Actually, this is an enzyme. It has a specific nucleotide sequence which is GAATTC. This is from 5' to 3' end. This is a sequence. So this particular enzyme will identify this restriction site, and if it finds this restriction site in the entire DNA strand, it will cleave it. Next, how exactly, what is this EcoR1? How this name has come? Because this enzyme is extracted from a prokaryote or bacteria which is called Escherichia coli RY13 strain. So here the name of this enzyme, this is the name of the enzyme. So here the first letter is the genus, E for Escherichia. Now next to 2 letters are the species in small letters. Then R refers to as the strain. This is the strain, RY13 is the strain from where this particular enzyme was isolated. Then what is 1? It's a Roman number that indicates that this is the first enzyme which is isolated from this strain. So this is how we name the restriction enzymes. Next, the first restriction endonuclease or enzyme isolated was HIND2. This was the first restriction enzyme which was isolated. So here H stands for Haemophilus, IN for influenza. Haemophilus influenzae. So D strain and the second. This was the first restriction enzyme which was isolated. Now mechanism, how they work. mechanism of restriction enzymes, how they work. Fine. When once these restriction endonucleases are employed, imagine this is the entire the DNA strand. For example, this is 5 prime to 3 prime, and this is 3 prime to 5 prime. So when once these restriction enzymes are employed, this restriction endonuclease will first inspect the entire DNA strand and identify its specific base sequence. Identify specific base sequence which must be palindromic. Which must be a palindromic sequence. Palindromic means the sequence of bases which can be read same in both strands, in both directions. Like suppose this is 5 prime to 3 prime, you can read that this is GAATTC. So from 5 prime to 3 prime, GAAT. This is called palindromic sequence. So always restriction endonucleases identify as palindromic sequence and make specific cuts. Like this is all these are base sequences. If suppose if I employ an enzyme called EcoR1 to cleave, EcoR1 inspect this entire DNA strand, and when it finds its specific base sequence, it will make a cleave, one cut on one strand. At the same base sequence, it makes the cut on both strands. So making or giving rise to single stranded DNA fragments. So this is how restriction endonucleases work. They will identify a specific base sequence. So because they will identify a specific base sequence, they are called, that site is called restriction site, they are called restriction enzymes. Number 2, restriction enzymes identify always a palindromic sequence. That means the sequence which can be read same on both directions. Okay, and these are 4 to 6 base pairs long. So one more interesting thing is that these are called molecular scissors, and always they make limited number of cuts. I said one cut on one strand. Okay, so the restriction endonucleases will cleave the DNA by making 2 types of cuts. One is called sticky end cut, second is called blunt end cut. So let us find out how this sticky end and blunt end cuts are made. Sticky end can also be called as cohesive end. Sticky or cohesive end. What is it? For example, I have a DNA strand from 5 prime to 3 prime. This is from 3 prime to 5 prime. If I have a sequence like G A A T T C, this is G A A T T C. So all these are other nucleotides. So how is the sticky end or cohesive end cuts are made? Some enzymes like EcoR1, what is the sequence of EcoR1? GAATTC. Just for a simplicity, I am just showing you the same sequence. For example, some enzymes like EcoR1, they cleave the DNA or a specific sequence on DNA just away from the center of palindromic sequence. Look here, this is center of the palindromic sequence. So this EcoR1 cleave this particular palindromic sequence little away from the center with the specific nucleotides. So on both strands, so it makes, because this is center of the palindromic sequence, so away from the center, just away from the center, it makes a cut at GA end, and on this strand also GA end. Suppose if it is making a cut like this, the DNA strand is cut in this way. So you get two fragments like this. So look, this is one fragment, okay, fine. So this is another fragment. So this DNA is finally cut into fragments like this. Because they have overhangs, these are called sticky ends. This is called sticky end cut. Here, between the two nucleotides, phosphodiester bond and also hydrogen bonds are broken. Here, what are the bonds that are broken by the sticky end cuts? So it is phosphodiester bond and also hydrogen bond, because hydrogen bond is broken so that it becomes the single strands, because between the two strands there is a hydrogen bonding that is also broken. So both phosphodiester and hydrogen bonds are broken in sticky end cut. Fine. There is one more method. Some restriction enzymes make, or some restriction enzymes cleave the DNA at the center of palindromic sequence. It is called blunt end cut, or we can say that these are flushy ends, blunt ends or flushy ends. Look, there is an enzyme which is called SMA1. This is Serratia marcescens. This SMA1, the sequence of this SMA1 is CCC GGG. Fine. So this is the 5' to 3' and 3' to 5' end of the DNA strand. Fine. In this 5' to 3' or 3' to 5' DNA strand, so this is CCC GG and this is GG, this is CC. So these are hydrogen bonds, and even other fragments, other nucleotide sequences are also present. Fine. Now this is from 5' to 3', 3' to 5' to 3'. This is a palindromic sequence. Fine. If I employ SMA1, SMA1 cut this particular DNA strand at the center of the palindromic sequence and produces two blunt end cuts. So I can say that now this is 5', the 3', this was broken, this becomes a 3' and this becomes a 5'. Are you following? This is 3' to 5'. Are you following? This is 5' to 3'. It is broken. So you can see that it is CCC GGG. Are you following? So this is GGG, CCC. This is two blunt ends. Okay, so here in blunt end cuts, the phosphodiester bond is broken. Phosphodiester bond is broken in the blunt end cuts, which are called fleshy ends, right? So this is how your enzymes, endonucleases work by cleaving away from the center or at the center of the palindromic sequence. Away from the center, we get overhangs, which are called sticky or cohesive ends, and at the center we get two blunt end cuts, which are called fleshy ends.